The world ends in thunder and dust. One moment, the clan of Homo Habilis moves through the familiar, sun-drenched wash, their path guided by the scent of water deep in the stone. The next, the sky cracks open. The groan of the mountain is a sound deeper than hearing, a vibration that travels through the soles of their feet and up into the cage of their ribs. Tail, the clan's eldest, shouts the young female, Naira, into an alcove as the canyon wall above them dissolves into an avalanche of rock and ancient soil. The air becomes a choking, brown fog. The sun vanishes. Silence, when it returns, is heavy, ringing, and absolute. Kale rises first, spitting grit. The others stir, their forms emerging from the gloom like spirits born of dust. They count as made with eyes, not words. 14, none lost. But the world they knew is gone. Where the gentle slope of the wash once led back to the open savanna, a new mountain now stands. A fresh, jagged cliff of shattered rock sealing the canyon. They are entombed. The sky is no longer a vast, open bowl but a narrow, blue ribbon far above, framed by sheer, unforgiving walls of stone. Panic, a cold and greasy thing, begins to crawl in their bellies. This is a grave. A deep, stone-lined grave. It is Lyra who sees it first. She makes no sound, but her hand shoots out, gripping Kayla's arm. Her knuckles are white. Her gaze is fixed upward. Kale follows her stare. A shadow, vast and swift, blots out the sliver of sun. It is not the comforting drift of a cloud. This shadow has edges, sharp and angular, and it moves with the purpose of a thrown spear. Another joins it, and then another. They circle the rim of their new prison, their movements silent and predatory. Kale squints, his brow furrowed with the effort of a mind built for problems of the earth, not the sky. These are not the familiar buzzards or eagles. They are immense. One of them descends. It spirals down into the canyon, its great, leathery wings catching the air with a sound like tearing hide. It is a nightmare given flight. A long, spear-like head, tipped with a dagger of dark, carrot and no USB. Pivots. It's cold, marble-like eyes scanning the canyon floor. A crest of bone sweeps back from its skull. A Pteranodon. Kale has seen them before, but only as distant specks against the sun, masters of a domain beyond his reach. Now, that domain is the ceiling of his world. The creature lands with impossible delicacy on a ledge 100 feet up, folding its wings. It is not alone. Kale's eyes adjust, tracing the fissures and crags of the canyon walls. He sees them everywhere, dozens of them, perched like gargoyles, their nests of mud and bone tucked into the stone. They have not been trapped in a canyon. They have stumbled into a rookery. They are mice in a cage of hawks. As this grim reality of their prehistoric life settles, Kale knows their only hope is etched into the very walls that imprison them. He looks at the sheer rock, then at the hands of his clan, hands made for gripping. Let the stone remember our grip, he thinks, a silent vow that is both a prayer and a plan. There is no time for grief. Kale's gaze sweeps over the clan, his face a mask of hardened resolve. To remain on the canyon floor is to be food in waiting. To climb is to have a chance. He points a finger, not up at the sheer wall, but towards a dark shape slumped at the canyon's edge. The carcass of a small ornithopod, baked clean but for its robust skeleton. This is the foundation of their escape. They work with a desperate, unified purpose that defines the best of early humans. Using heavy stones, they shatter the fossilized ribs and femurs. The sharp-edged splinters become crude hand axes. The larger bones become levers. This is the genesis of their osteodontokeratic technology, tools of bone born not from leisure but from the sheer necessity of survival. The ascent begins. Kale leads the way. A younger male named Geo are below him, clearing a path. They climb in a tight cluster, moving from ledge to ledge, a fragile human chain against an immense wall of stone. They are not natural climbers, but their powerful hands, a gift of their evolving lineage, find purchase on nubs of rock that would deny a go. For the first hour, the winged gods of this abyss only watch. The clan feels their cold, unblinking eyes on them, a pressure worse than the sun's heat. Then, a shriek echoes from above, a sound that scrapes the inside of the skull. A juvenile Pteranodon, bold and reckless, detaches from the cliff. It dives. The shadow falls over them like a fun net. Kel presses himself flat against the rock, shouting a warning. The creature is not aiming for him, but for a lone climber further down, an old hunter named Morrow, who has fled the group. The Pteranodon's attack is a blur of speed and precision. Its carotenoid beak, sharp as obsidian, strikes Morrow's shoulder. He cries out, his grip failing. For a terrible second, he hangs by one hand. His body a pendulum of agony. The Pteranodon circles, its leathery wings generating a gust that nearly tears the others from their holds. It comes in for the kill. Morrow, with the last of his strength, looks up at Kel. There is no fear in his eyes, only a silent command. Go. The beak snapped shut on his arm, and with a sound of wet tearing, Morrow is plucked from the wall and carried, limp and broken, towards a high nest. A wave of terror threatens to shatter their resolve. Some whimper, their fingers losing strength, but Kel's voice cuts through the fear. Behold, Gesserl bark. You pay. CLIMB. There is no other choice. To stop is to die. He understands now. They cannot simply climb. They must fight their way up. As another shadow passes, he sees the creature up close, the taut membrane of its wings, the beady intelligence in its eye, the strange, shaggy coat of PYC, no fibers covering its torso. They are not gods, just flesh and blood can be fought. He wedges a sharpened femur into a crack above him, creating a new handhold and a potential weapon. They are no longer just prey. They are a problem, and a problem, Kel knows, is something a mind can solve. Even halfway between the grave and the sky, days and nights blur into a vertical nightmare. Thirst is a constant fire in their throats, and hunger a dull ache that sharpens with every circling shadow. Two more are lost to the winged hunters, plucked from the rock face like ripe fruit. But the clan learns. They climb in the great wide-eyed hours when the predators are less active. They learn to read the wind by the rustle of the sparse cliffside vegetation, predicting an attack by the sudden change in airflow. Their survival skills are evolving in real time. The rim is now agonizingly close. They can smell the sweet scent of the savanna's grasses, a perfume of freedom that drives them onward. It is then that the true king of the canyon reveals himself. He is immense, a veteran of countless seasons, his leathery wings scarred and torn. His crest is a crown of blackened bone, and one eye is a milky, blind orb. This is the alpha. He does not dive with the recklessness of the young males. He descends with the cold gravity of an executioner, aiming not for a straggler, but for Naira, who carries the clan's future in her womb. Kel sees the intent in the creature's one good eye. This is not about food. It is a display of dominance, an eradication of the insects infesting his domain. In that heart-stopping moment, the entire brutal calculus of human evolution crystallizes for Kel. The clan cannot outclimb this beast. He cannot protect Lyra and hold the wall. There is only one path. He screams a challenge, a sound of pure, desperate rage, and shoves himself away from the cliff face, deliberately making himself the more tempting target. He uses a sharpened length of bone, his finest piece of primitive technology, clutched in his fist. The Alpha, surprised by this defiance, changes course, its beak opening in a silent hiss. It lunges. Kel does not try to dodge. He braces his feet in a crevice and meets the attack head-on. The impact is staggering, a collision of mammal and reptile, of past and future. The beak glances off Kel's shoulder, tearing flesh, but he stays rooted. He drives his bone dagger upwards with all the force of his lineage, aiming for the creature's chest. The sharpened point finds a space between the ribs and punches deep into the broad, keeled sternum. the anchor of its flight. There is a wet, grinding crunch. The alpha shrieks, a sound of agony and disbelief. Its great wings beat frantically, uselessly. The killing blow has crippled its ability to fly. For a moment, they are locked together, a grotesque sculpture of defiance on the cliffside. Then, their combined weight pulls them from the wall. The clan, scrambling over the rim, looks back. They see their leader, locked in a death embrace with the winged king, plummeting into the abyss below. They fall together, two alphas, each the pinnacle of their kind, vanishing into the shadows from which the clan has just escaped. On the canyon's edge, the surviving tensed and in silence. They are bloody, gaunt, and broken, but they are alone. The wide, open savanna stretches before them, the world reborn. The sky, once a ceiling of death, is now a promise. Lyra touches her stomach, her face streaked with dust and tears. What happened in that abyss was more than an escape. It was a lesson written in blood. It was an act of tactical sacrifice, a spark of abstract thought under duress that separates their story from the billions of years of prehistory that came before. The intelligence to craft a tool from a bone, the courage to challenge a monster in its own domain, and the altruism to die for the future of the group. These are the traits that will echo far beyond this desolate canyon in a land of dinosaurs. This single, brutal event is a microcosm of the entire, unlikely saga of hominid history. It is the story of how our ancestors, the ancient humans, refused their designated role as prey. They learned to look at the horrors of their world not as gods to be feared, but as problems to be solved. These are the chronicles of the first defiance. Listen closely. You can still hear the echo of their climb. But the sky is not the only abyss.